me in welcoming Sachin for asserting yourself.
Thank you, Madam Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guests. Good evening, everybody. I'm sure we all come across situations in our life, at least daily, or if not daily, 2 or 3 times a week, where we feel we need to do something about it, where we feel we are being suppressed, or we feel we are being irritated, and we just accept things as they are. Well, fellow Toastmasters, this is the speech for you. With this speech, I'm going to guide you into how to handle this kind of situations where you can assert yourself out of this kind of irritating situations. I'll start with examples of the irritating situations, the various kind of situations, and the reason I'm giving examples is because some of us even take it for granted and don't realize really this situation need to be corrected. Then there's a typical incorrect response. I think even I do most of the time incorrect responses. So I'll go over the incorrect responses. I hope you find it funny. Then the correct response, the correct way to respond. That is the purpose of my speech, to train you all in the correct way of responding to irritating situations. Then of course I'll be doing a role play with Brian. He'll be a neighbor whose dog barks at the night and disturbs me. And the last part will be the question answers, open to the audience. So what are some irritating situations? Like if you're a parent, you know this pretty often. Your kid, your son or daughter leaves the room untidy. Many of us, have even taken this for granted and even don't think it is irritating. And that's the reason I mentioned. So, and this is a situation which needs a correction, and because of which we need to inculcate a good habit. This second thing is colleague chats loudly in your office on a cell phone, right? I mean, that's very common. You're busy while working on something and then your neighbor is chatting loudly on the phone. And you need to do something about it. You're living in an apartment or a condominium and the neighbor upstairs is stomping or the kids are stomping. And you are like helpless. You give your car for a nice tune-up and you find like after 2 days it makes a grunting sound or noise and your mechanic is not ready to accept it. You get irritated. Yeah, now of course you go to a restaurant or any other service place and you get no service. What do you do? So what are the incorrect responses? The most common, which I do, which all of us do, is ignore it. If your neighbor makes a lot of noise upstairs, ignore it. Close your ears. If your colleague talks loudly on the cell phone, do what? Ignore him. Just smile at him as if everything is normal and ignore. So we are very good at ignoring the problems. Second incorrect response is fix the problem yourself. Very popular, very easy, much easier than correcting the person or giving a feedback, right? So if my kid leaves the room dirty, what do? I go and clean it up myself. Much easy. If anything you think the car does not work well, then you take it to somebody else instead of taking it back to the other dealer, the person who didn't repair it. So you try to fix the problem yourself. And of course the last one, the most popular, right? We always feel better. Just lose your temper. Shout at whoever is trying to irritate you. Blame him. Whether it's your spouse or your kid or your neighbor or colleague, just shout back and say, I'm getting irritated, I'm pissed off. But please realize all three are incorrect responses. So what is a correct response? This is a difficult situation and how we should respond to irritating situations. First of all, realize one thing, the problem is your own, it's not the other person's problem. If your colleague is talking loudly on the cell phone, it's your problem. The colleague doesn't realize it's his problem. So, what do? You state the problem to the person. Unless you state the problem, the other person is not going to realize there is a problem. So you state the problem. Then the next step is you tell your feelings. You tell them why this is a problem. Why are you upset? Whatever is the reason. Then you specify a solution. Just telling your feelings does not help. You try to come up with a solution. What way? It will be, we can work with a better situation than what we are right now. And last, describe the positive consequences. If you do this thing, then this is how the problem will be solved. And stating this is simple. I'm sure executing is much more difficult. And this needs to be reiterated because many times you will stop, the other person might not respond, and there are a couple of things, the other person might counter-attack you. If you tell the person, like in this example, you are talking loud on the cell phone, he will say, you do too. Then why are you bugging me? So he is counter-attacking. So these are the situations you will face in day-to-day life, in irritating situations. Second thing is they might just ignore and they say, I'm very busy, I need to talk. So what do? So it is not that straightforward, but still you need to persist with these 4 steps, to tell your feelings, to state the problem, to come up with a solution so that the other person finally listens to it. This is very important. So please don't give up. You might have to reiterate this loop again till you come out of, till you break the irritating behavior. Now I'll be doing a role play with Brian. Welcome, Brian. Thank you. So basically we are neighbors, and this is an example of an irritating situation. Brian, our houses are next to each other. Brian has a dog which barks almost every day at night after 10 p.m. It has driven me crazy, and I don't know what to do. I used to follow the earlier responses by shutting my ears, ignore it. But after some time I found that let's be assertive and do something about it. So this is how I'm going to tackle it in the role play. So I come in, I go and meet him in his home in the morning. Hey Brian, how are you doing?
Fine, Sachin.
Good. I hope you had a good sleep.
Wonderful.
Okay. Unfortunately, I did not.
Oh, how come?
Oh, well, the reason being that your dog barks a lot at night, especially after 10.
Sure it's my dog?
Yes.
Sure it's not Charlie's dog?
No, it's your dog.
How can you tell it's my dog and not Charlie's dog?
Because I can see you barking.
Oh, really? Oh.
And because of that, what affects is it affects my sleep. I get upset. In the morning when I have to go to work, I cannot focus. So it has caused me a lot of problems. So I am here to communicate with you and discuss what way we can come up with a solution. So I'm sure you will help me in this.
You sure it's my dog?
Sure, right?
I keep him in the garage. You sure it's not Charlie's dog?
No, it's not Charlie's dog. It's your dog, Ruckus. I know that. So
He's in the garage.
we can hear it. It's very loud. So
My door is closed.
you can hear the noise. Maybe your garage door is not that loud. But I have some suggestions. If you don't mind. I'm sure you agree that the dog should not be barking too much. I know you can sleep soundly, but many of our neighbors like me cannot. So I'm sure you
It's not Charlie's dog.
No, it's your dog. That's the reason. So I have a suggestion if you're open to it.
Alright, try it.
Yeah, I think the weather is very cold and your dog will be feeling very cold in wherever you keep it. And I think a little bit of heating or keeping him indoors, somewhere in
I think you keep him indoors.
but maybe it's not warm inside, but that's why it's barking. You just check that out.
You know what I think it is?
Sure.
I have his doggy. He can go in and out, so he goes to the bathroom at night. And you know what I think it really looks like? He's getting out chasing rats.
He's shooting rats.
And he's barking at him on the fence.
Barking at the rats.
So that's my theory. Other than that, it being Charlie's dog.
So we can do a couple of things. No, it's not Charlie's dog. I know you reiterated it for the 10th time, but it's not Charlie's dog, it's your dog. And what I would pressure is we can try to fix both the problems. What I suggest is we put some kind of a portable heater in your garage so that the dog keeps warm. Even if after that it persists in barking, then we will try to solve the problem of the rats. Whatever way we can, pesticides for the dog, or chain the dog so it doesn't run after the on the rats in the night.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do.
Sure.
Just so you
I'm looking for your help in any way.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock the doggy door at night. And then tonight I'm going to get a flashlight and a pellet gun and I'm going to shoot those rats.
I mean, whatever makes,
It's like your phone.
whatever makes sense, I would appreciate that. But definitely, let me tell you, any kind of help you do is a great help to me because that way I can sleep better and we can have a great day in the morning. And I'm sure
I'll lock the door.
and the other neighbors also would really appreciate it.
Who's that? Charlie, please, you have
No challenge. It's not all ruckus. I'm very sure about it.
It's Bowser.
Whatever. Thank you. So I guess you got the flow of the conversation, what we were trying to do here. So this was an irritating situation, and earlier on, like I mentioned, I was ignoring him. I was closing my ears. I could not fix the problem. And of course, the third incorrect response was to shout back at him and fight with him and yell at him because his dog is yelling and barking. But I didn't do any of the incorrect responses, and I moved to the correct responses, which was if you could see this, the way I spoke, we could come to a solution. So now I will open it for any question and answers from your side.
Are you sure that this is not Charles' dog? Just kidding.
I have no answer. Questions to the content of the speech. Okay, go ahead, please.
What would you do if it continued, even after you spoke to your neighbor?
If it continued, then I would have to repeat the conversation with him because he promised me a couple of things, that the dog would be chained and he would take care of the rats. So then I would again analyze with him what is the third reason this is happening. So that means there is still one more reason the dog is barking. That's what I would do. Wow.
Sometimes when you repeat what the other person is saying, it helps them understand that you're on their side. Do you think this is a good idea?
That is paraphrasing. I think what you're saying is paraphrasing. Definitely it's a good idea to paraphrase. As long as it doesn't sound monotonous and the other person does not feel you're deliberately doing it. Like I had done in one of the speeches with another customer. Yes, paraphrasing is a good idea, as long as it does not look artificial.
So you say if this continues, you go back after him saying you didn't keep your promises. But I easily could see Brian turn around the first or second time and going, get lost. You have no grounds to be talking to me. It's my property. Unless you've got a noise violation and that's the city's jurisdiction, how do you deal with that? Because really, what jurisdiction do you actually have to tell him how to treat his pet?
See, that's an extreme example. Like anything can be taken to the extreme. Here, in the role play, we are assuming the neighbor is working within a boundary. Anything can be taken to the extreme example. It's difficult for me to take a cognizant of that. I would not be able to answer. Fortunately, most neighbors do not follow extreme examples.
What are your thoughts about, there was a little bit of denial that Brian was suggesting that wasn't his dog. How would you deal with that in your situation?
So that is very common. Denial, like I said, either people counterattack or they deny. They deny that it's irritating you, or they deny they are responsible for it. So I think the only way to do it is be persistent and logical, and just go step by step and point out that this is the reason this is happening. And make the other person feel comfortable in the whole conversation instead of being uncomfortable. So you deny is when they feel uncomfortable, so you try to stop that.